Hello everyone, welcome to OdinSchool. Today in this class, we are going to learn about a very important topic under MySQL. We are going to learn about the SQL statements. First, let's understand. Why do we need to have MySQL, and then from there we will go on to the topic. Why learn MySQL? MySQL is basically one of the largest database service provider in the market. Among all the other service providers, MySQL provides open source SQL service. Also, with that, what we can do is we can manipulate the data, we can retrieve the data, and we can do all sort of analysis without having much difference to the normal SQL syntaxes that we use in other services like Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle PL SQL, and other relational databases. And learning MySQL is very important in a real-time environment, and especially in the current world, because of the huge volume of data that we have. Having so much of data means so much of trouble in processing it. So we need a database through which we can actually control the data, manage the data, and take the data whenever it is required, process the data, generate an output, and then put it back into the original state. So it is very important to know a database in the current world, since that MySQL is one of the market leaders in the in the current time. We will be learning about MySQL. Now, quickly giving an introduction about OdinSchool as well as about myself. OdinSchool is a technology upskilling platform. They help us continuously acquire new skills. Stay skilled and stay ahead is the motto. Talking about me, my name is Gautam Kumar Jayachandran. I have 6+ years of experience as a senior data scientist. I've worked with several technologies like Excel, SQL, Python, Tableau, machine learning, and analytics. I've worked under several domains as well. With that quick introduction, let's get into our today's agenda. We are going to learn about multiple statements that we would be using day in, day out in SQL. The first two statements that we are going to see are where and group by statements. Now, the general statements are as follows: select statement, from statement, where statement, group by statement, having statement, order by statement, limit statement, and distinct statements. These are primary statements that we would be wanting, without which we will not be able to retrieve even the basic data retrieval process. Even if I wanted to retrieve one column from the table, it will not be feasible without knowing these statements. These statements are the core of SQL. So we are going to learn about all these statements today in this class, both theoretically as well as practically. First, let's get started with where statement. There are actually only two conditional clauses in SQL. When I say conditional clauses, basically it is nothing but filters. I have data, but how will I subset the data basis a particular condition? So whenever we have condition, we have to retrieve data, manipulate data, and process data basis a particular condition, we will be taking the help of conditional clauses. There are only two conditional clauses, as I said. The first one being where statement, and the second one will be having statement. Talking about where statement has a syntax of simply where. The one thing that we need to keep in mind when we are learning about when we are using where statement is that where statement will not allow us to perform any aggregation on it. The key difference between where statement and having statement is that where statement simply filters the data. You can have n number of conditions in it, whereas having statement lets us subset the data basis aggregation. Now I'll explain you what is aggregation and what is the key difference between where and having. I'll also give an example for where statement. Now the theoretical understanding here is where clause is used to specify a condition while fetching data from a single table or by joining with multiple tables. Exactly. So it does not only help you while for filtering the data from one table. If I'm merging several tables using joins, I can still subset the tables with the help of where conditions. If the given condition is satisfied, then only it returns specific value from the filter. It is basically exactly as a filter in any other tools. Now, talking about practical classes, what I'll do is first let me show you a table. Select from orders. I execute this, it gives me all the information that are there in this particular table. So in this table, if you see, there are 12 rows. Okay, I have order number, purchase amount, order date, customer ID, and salesman ID. I'll also show one more table. Select everything from salesman. Now let's see the information that is there in this particular table. We have salesman ID, name, city, and commission. Now if I wanted to subset the data basis a particular logic, now I have city information in this table. I have Paris twice. Now what is the condition that I wanted to write is, I wanted to return values for the salesmen who are belonging to the city Paris. How will I achieve it? Now see here, all I have to do is, I'll simply use a where statement. I'll simply specify the column name in which I wanted to write this condition, and then I will say Paris in quotation. So whenever we are using strings, we will be using the strings within quotation so that the machine understands them as strings. So if it is any other data type like a number, we will directly supply the number without any quotation. Since Paris is a text, a string, we will supply the value of Paris inside a double single quotation or double quotation. Both of the cases, the output will remain the same. If you see here, we had so many line items in this particular table. Let me show you the original table one more time. See here, we have 6 line items, out of which only there are 2 salesmen who are belonging to the city Paris. This is with regards to string. What happens when I wanted to subset a data using number? Now let me show you orders one more time. If you see here, in orders table, we have order number, purchase amount, order date, customer ID, and the salesman ID. Now I wanted to subset the data basis a particular value, a purchase amount. Now I wanted to see the values that are greater than only 100. So what I'll do is, I'll say where purchase amount is greater than 100. All I'm doing is specifying the column name and then specifying the value basis which I wanted the data to be subsetted, and then I'm specifying my condition here. So that is why we say where as a conditional class. So it says conversion failed while converting the varchar value into data type integer. So basically it says the particular column that we have as purchase amount is not a value as an integer, it is stored as a variable character. So when we have created this table, mistakenly someone has created this table as this particular column as a string, not variable character. So we cannot achieve this particular output here, but I can show you one more example for the same table. Let's take customer ID. I wanted to retain customers only on a particular value. So I'll say customer underscore ID is equal to 3005. I wanted to return values of customers who are only with the ID of 3005. It returns me 2 values. And this is an example for number filtering. This is an example for filtering the Paris, a string basically. Now as I told you, you can also use arithmetic expressions like greater than, less than, all those logical expressions, and retrieve the value out of it. That is also something that we can achieve. Now talking about where statement in a date. So you can also use a date, but whenever we are using a date, we will be using date as a string. So what I'll write is, from orders where order date is equal to this. So whenever we are having date, we will treat date also as a string. So I'm directly supplying this value and executing it. There are 2 sales that happened on this particular date. 2 orders have been placed on this particular date. One is of a value of 150, another one is of a value of 65. So these are the different types of conditions that we can apply on where statements. Now also we can apply several conditions using where statements. Talking about multiple conditions. Select from let's take a different table this time. Let's take item master and then execute it. See here, we have so many information. We have 10 different columns and 10 different rows and 4 different columns. Now I wanted to retrieve values of company 11 and 12. Now in all the previous cases we used only one particular filter, right? Let me show you that. If you see here, we used order date is equal to only one value we supplied, and we asked the machine to look out for that particular line item and retrieve the value. Here also we have supplied only one condition. Customer ID should be 3005. What if I wanted to have multiple conditions? I wanted to retrieve the values of companies with the company ID 11 and 12. So there are like 4 line items here. 11 and 12. How will I achieve an output of multiple conditions? In order to do what we can do is we can simply choose our membership operators, our logical operators, and or not. So let me show you all three. First, I'm going to use where pro underscore com is equal to 11, or I can still write pro underscore com is equal to 12. I think these are the only two companies that I said. So whenever I have two multiple conditions, I can separate them by a logical operator. We can use and, or, and not. So in this case, if I'm just using this and executing it, here it will retrieve me the values of both the companies 11 and 12. That is something that we can achieve like this. This is a traditional way of writing conditions for writing a filter for two conditions. What if I wanted to write it in a very easier way? So in all those cases, what we can do is we can simply choose a membership operator which is in, and then we will say return me the values of companies which are inside this parenthesis. It can be 11, it can be 12. If I have 13, it will also retrieve me the values of companies which is of the number 13. So here these two line items are from the 13th company, whereas all the other line items are from the 11th and 12th company. This is how a where statement works. Let's go back to our portion here. Next one, a group by statement. A group by clause is used in collaboration with the select statement to arrange identical data into groups. Yes, as the theory portion suggests, what it simply does is it groups the data basis similarity. That is all it does. So when I have huge amount of data, if I wanted to group them basis their similarity and their basis their identity, I can use group by statement to group the data. Now let me show you an example for group by statement. Let me select information from item master. So let me execute this piece of code. If I execute this, see here we have motherboard, we have product board, we have this many, but all these values look distinct in nature. I'm checking if there are any duplicate values. Yes, see here, if I have product, the companies from which we get these products, but the problem here is all this is not grouped together. When I say grouped together, if I have 11 and 12, next to 11 we have 12, but the first two companies are here next to each other, whereas the 12th one more product from the same company is present at the last of this particular line item. So what happens with the group by statement is that it groups everyone together. If there are multiple products from 15th company, then it will keep all the products from this particular company together, and then it will go on to the next two ones. Like that, it will group the data basis similarity. Now I'll also show one more example using a salesman table or customers table, but here let me show you some example. I'll use group by pro underscore company. If I execute it, it says pro underscore id is invalid in the list because it is contained either in an aggregate or group function. Okay, so since I have chosen everything, I have to use all those things in the group by statements. The only condition with the group by statement is that whenever you are choosing what a particular column or the entire list of columns in the group by statement, you have to make sure that all those columns are mentioned in the group by statements. So what I'll do is pro underscore id, then I'll say pro underscore name, then I'll say pro underscore price, because I wanted all those columns to be grouped basis company. Now let's see the output. So see the output, it was different output. Now we have, now let's filter the data. There is a null, so what I'll do is I'll filter the data where prod under pro underscore id is not null. So we can use not null operator to remove this first line where we have a lot of nulls, or I think it is not null, it is a space. So I'll just make sure that it is excluded. Invalid column name pro underscore id. Sorry, here in this I'm using not equal to like this. Invalid column id pro underscore okay, I'm checking if there is null. Yes, so now it has removed the null. If you see here, the data is sorted properly. The company 11 and all its values are there. Then all the values of 12th company is present here. Then all the values of 13th company is present here. Then we have 14th company, 15th company, and lastly 16th company together. So this is what a group by function does. To give one more example for group by, what I'll do is I'll select everything from customers first, or from salesman maybe, and then I'll show you the output of this. So in salesman we have very less information, so I'll pick customers this time. Using customers, yes, we have lot of cities here. See here, Nick Rimando is coming from New York, but he and Brad Davis do not have any connection whatsoever. But with the help of grouping, what we can do is we can keep all New Yorkers together, all London people together, all Paris people together, and so on. So what am I going to do is I will group by customer underscore id, customer underscore name, city, grade, and salesman id. But what I wanted to group is city. The first thing that I wanted to group is city, so I'll keep city first and all the other things next to each other. The next thing that I'm going to do is customer underscore id. So if I execute this, you can see the difference here. All these are indifferent, right? Now they will be grouped together. So yeah, Berlin is there is no one except Geoff Camero from Berlin, hence is alone. Graham Zuzi from California is alone. People from London are grouped. There is one guy from Moscow, and people from New York are grouped, and one person from Paris. This is how a group by works. Now, in this case, what we have done is we have taken all the columns from the table and and grouped the data. What if I wanted to apply a condition and group the data? Say for an example, I wanted to take example of aggregation, like I wanted to know sum of grade, basically what is the total grade for people who are coming from the city of New York. So there are two New Yorkers, their total grade is 300. So we wanted to achieve this as output. So I'll say select sum of grade, and maybe customer names. We don't want customer names, we just want then yes, by city. Let's group it by city. So what I'll do is from customers group by city. So that is all I have to do. Now what it will do is it will sum the values of grade at each city level and gives us the values. In city, what is the total grade? In New York, what is the total grade? In California, what is the total grade? And for all the cities, it will tell us the total grade. Again, the problem here is grade is in string data type, so I cannot perform an aggregation here. So whenever we wanted to perform certain set of aggregation, it has to be a number. While importing the data, it has to be converted into a number, or when we create the table, we have to convert that into a number. But in this case, we can very clearly see the data is grouped basis particular options that we gave. If I wanted to change the order in which I wanted to group the data, I can keep grade first and then I can keep city next to it. Yes, so here it says incorrect syntax near group, near the group. city. Okay, I did not select this, I believe. Yes, okay, now it works perfectly. So for London, we do not have value in one case, and hundreds are grouped together, 200s are grouped together, and 300s are grouped together. So this is how a group by statement works. Having statement. Having statement is, as I told you, is one additional conditional statement that we have in SQL syntaxes. Now we have already seen a conditional statement, which is where statement. Now even though where statement can filter the data, how how different can having statement filter the output for us? Having statement simply helps us in achieving output that can be aggregated at the output level. Now, having class is used to filter the data from the already grouped data. So what we will do in the general cases, we select a particular set of columns from a particular table, apply a filter on it, and then what else we will do is we will try to group the data, and then once we group the data, now assume that I wanted to apply one more filter on the grouped data. Where function cannot apply filters on grouped data, it can apply filters only on a line item level, only at a row level it can filter the data. Now if I wanted to filter the data at this aggregated level, I have to use a having statement. Now let me quickly go here and explain you about aggregation first. So basically aggregation is nothing but grouping data. That is all aggregation does. It helps you to group the data basis a particular value, particular operation also. The basic functions are sum, count, average, minimum, maximum, and then we have percentile, we have we have standard deviation, we have variance. Yeah, these are the default aggregation functions that we will be dealing with. What a sum function does, it basically joins all the values that are there in a particular column and gives you as an output, right? That is what an aggregation concept. It helps us aggregate the data using a particular concept. Now let me show you an aggregation with the help of where statement. Select everything from customers where I wanted to know what is the sum of customer ID, or maybe I'll use count of customer underscore ID. If I execute this, it will throw an error. It will say an expression of non-boolean type specified in a context without where a condition is expected. Okay, maybe I'll only pick customer ID and ask the machine to execute it. It will say it will still throw the same error because a where function applies filter at a column level, but it cannot apply filter at an aggregated data level. That is where having by statement comes into picture. Having statement comes into picture. Now let me explain a couple of examples for having statement. Now I wanted to see the data first, so I'll choose select everything from customers. We have all the values here. Let us see one more table also. So select everything from orders. Now orders does not have any numerical value. Let me see item underscore must. So here again we have price. Let me see if price is an aggregated number. What I will do is sum of pro underscore price from item must group by product company. Here it is also a variable character. Again, the problem is the price here is stored as a text, a string. So I'll stick with customers because in customers we have one number which is customer ID, and we also have salesman ID. Assume this as a value, and then let's play with this to understand the aggregation data. Now if I wanted to group the data basis some aggregation, it actually threw some error saying that it cannot perform aggregation using a where statement. Now how else can I filter the data? Now I'll say where city is equal to New York. So this is a filter. It is going to get applied onto the data. This is at a line item level where statement can work. There are two line items for city. Now what I wanted to do was I wanted to filter customers who are customer ID with a value less than 3005. Okay, so in this case, what I can do is I can actually perform an aggregation. So I'll say select count of customer ID or salesman ID. I can say I wanted to know how many salesmen are working for customers. Let's keep all the cities. Let's not filter the data. Let's keep all the cities for customers. And I don't want to have customers who are greater than. I'm like if the customers are using only one salesman, we would not like to see the output. But let me show you the data at the overall level now first. Group by, I don't even have to group by the data. Select count of customers. There are 8 salesmen in total. Now I wanted to know per customer how many salesmen are working. So I'll say group by customer ID. See here, each and every customer has, almost all the customer has only one sales representative here. So again, we cannot apply any filter here. So I'm going to choose city. Let's see how many cities are there. If a customer is coming from several city, okay, other which ways we will change the logic here. We'll keep customer ID and city. That way there will be definitely more than more than one customer coming from one city. So there are good chances this will have values. See here, yes, from London there are 2 customers, from there New York there are 2 customers. Now in this case I don't want to have the values for all the customers. If I wanted to have the values filtered to customers, filtered to cities that have more than 2 customers, how will I do it? Now this data that we are seeing at the aggregated level, see here, this is already a grouped data. There were 2 line items for New York. Now we have 2 as value. There were 2 line items for New York, for London. Now we have a value of 2. All the other cities are present only once, are having customers only one customers. So what we can do here is we can actually take the help of having function and generate an output. So what I'll do is group by city having, we should write having count of customer ID should be greater than 1. In this particular case, what happens is this supplies the data to the select statement, and the operation gets performed in the select statement from the table customers, and the data is grouped. On the grouped data we can perform this aggregation operation. This is exactly how a having function work. Other which ways having function does not work. Let me give one more example for having statement. I'm taking Novell's win data set. Here we have 24 line items, which is good. Okay, good. So we have so much of data here. Now let me explain every other example that we have seen so far using this data, because there are a lot of table columns in this. Cool. Now let's start with where statement. To apply a value on year, what I'll do is where year is equal to 1978. If I use year is equal to 1978, see here it returns me the winners of Nobel Prize in the years 1978. Now I wanted to see the winners of Nobel Prize who won Nobel Prize after a particular year. Say for an example, after 2000, I wanted to know who and all won the Nobel Prize. So in that case, what I can do is I can simply show you like this. Select everything from the Nobel win where year is greater than 2000. I'm not sure whether there is data for 2000, but let's check. See here there is no data. Let's see what is the maximum year that we have. So what I'll do is select max year from Noble Win. That way we will understand what is the maximum year, latest year that we have. Till 1994 only we have. Let's also see the minimum year. So if I execute it, it says 1970. From 1970 to 1994 we have data. So what I'll do is I wanted to see people who won Nobel Prize after 1980. So in the output we have values that are greater than 1980 only. Now if I wanted to see the Nobel Prize winners before 1975, so what I can do is select everything from Nobel win where year is less than 1975. If I execute this, see here there are 13 people who won Nobel Prize before 1975. Now what suppose I wanted to filter the data between a particular time period greater than 1975. I wanted to see who and all won Nobel Prize from 1975 to 1980. In those cases what we can do is we can first select everything from the data and then I'll write where year between 1975 and 1980. So what happens in this case is it basically tries to select values that are between two values 1975 and 1980. There are only two Nobel awards that was given away in the year in between 1975 to 1980. So this is how we can take the help of numbers and play with it in real time. This is with regards to where statement. Then we saw group by statement. So one more time, let's see the data. Select everything from Nobel win. So we have subject, we have winner, we have country, we have category. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted the data to be sorted basis category and country. So what I'll do is I'll group the data by category, country, then we have subject, then at the level I wanted to group the data at subject level, year, and finally I wanted to group it by winner level. If I execute this, it tells me the category is chancellor. The chancellor in 1971, it was given away as a peace prize for Willy Brandt. For the he or she belongs to the country of Germany. So we grouped the data now. Now all the categories are grouped together: linguistic, linguist, economist, president, prime minister, scientist, and everyone else. So this is how we can use group by data. Now in the same case we cannot use we can actually use aggregation, but without taking the help of without subsetting anything in the output. Now let me say I wanted to know how many scientists are there from each country. So what I'll do is I wanted to count scientist. Yeah, I'm counting scientists belonging to each country from Nobel win. Now I'll group the data at a country level. So this way what it does is it simply, sorry, this is basically category from a Nobel win where category is equal to scientist. So what happens in this case is it will try to count the category, but we have already applied a filter called scientist as in the category field. So what it will do is it will count only how many scientists are there in each country and generate the output. So in France there are 3 scientists, in Germany there are 3, in Hungary there is one, in Japan also there is 1 scientist, in Sweden and USA they have more than 1 scientist. There are 2 scientists in those countries. So basically this is how we can take the help of group by along with all the other statements that we have learned so far. Now let's include having statement in this. Now I wanted to know the countries that have more than more than 1 scientist. So what I'll do is having count of category which is greater than 1. If I say greater than 1, what happens is it will retrieve me countries with more than one scientist. This is what a having statement does. Next is order by statement. An order by statement or a clause is used to sort the data in ascending or descending order based on one or more columns. Some databases sort the query results in ascending order by default. MySQL does the same. So basically what happens in this case is order by statement is simply nothing but a sorting statement. If I want to sort the data basis ascending order, basis a particular order, ascending or descending, I can easily get it done with the help of order by statement. That is what it does. Now let's see how does order by statement works with an example. Okay, let me close everything. Let me open the same table Novell win and execute it. It has these many columns and things. Now how come an order by statement work? Now let's do some operation to understand this. I wanted to see here I wanted to see the winners, of course. I wanted to see the country from where they're coming from. I wanted to see on for what subject they got the award, under what category, basically everything only. Instead of everything, maybe we can have a grouped data. Okay, in what year, how many information, as how many awards have been given at each year, count year. So what am I trying to do here is, under each year how many awards have been given to each, given under each category. Yeah, this is all we need to do. So again, I don't want to have linguist included in it. I don't want linguist to be part of it. So what I'll write is where category is not equal to linguist. Okay, since we have used a aggregation operation on the select statement, we must give all the other columns in the group by statement. So I'll say group by category. Just execute this. See here, for scientists they have given 12 awards. In 12 years the awards have been given. Maybe we can show the data at a year level also. I can say group the data at this level. So in 1970, one award was given, which was for economists. In 1970, there were 6 awards given. One is for scientists, and the data, the what is this? The key segregation cannot be seen here because we are aggregating the data here. If I wanted to see the data at what level, at for what category that these things were given, we can add more dimensions in the select statement, but I'm not going to do it. But we are just going to see what are the values that got fetched in this particular way. Now given this scenario, what happens is we are familiar with where statement and group by statement. Now if I wanted to subset the data, I will say having category, having count of year, which should be greater than or equal to 2. Only these categories I wanted to see. Now see here, the data is not sorted either in horizontal A to Z, nor smallest to lower or lower to higher. It is randomly present. In all these cases, if I wanted to sort the data, if I wanted to produce the data at a particular order, all I have to use is I have to use an order by statement, order by count of year. That's all I'm going to do. If I do order by count of year, what happens is by default it sorts the data in ascending order 2, 4, 12. Say for an example, I wanted to do the same thing in descending order. All I have to do is copy this, I'll paste it here, and then I'll just specify DESC. This DESC is a keyword which basically sorts the data in descending order from highest to lower. 12, 4 and 2. Not just this, the same thing can be used in strings as well. Let me show you. select everything from Noble Win. We have physics, winner, country, and things. I wanted to order the data by A to Z in subject. So what I'll do is I'll simply write order by subject. Since by default it performs ascending order, we don't have to specify ASC. But even if you specify ASC, the output will not differ. Starts from chemistry, then goes to economics, then to literature, peace, and physics. Now, if I wanted to do the same thing for multiple columns, now what I can do is sort by subject ascending, then I wanted to sort the data of winner by ascending order, then country by ascending order. That is all I have to do here. Now let me execute this. If I execute this here, this is A to Z. Again, inside the subject, inside these four elements, the values will be ordered in for A to Z. Again, inside this winner, all the countries will be sorted in A to Z. The first one we are seeing is USA because the winner is Donald someone. If we do not have multiple winners in G, so only one, and then it belongs to Germany, and it goes on. So we can keep adding as many we can keep adding as many as dimensions in the order by to order the data in both ascending and descending order. Now to give an example of whatever that we have learned so far together, here select count of uh, winners in each country. Okay, count of winners across country from the Noble data set, where year should be greater than 1975, and I wanted to group the data by country. Then I wanted to make sure that it has having count of winner should be greater than 2, greater than or equal to 2, and then order the data by uh, country and winner. So this is what we are planning to do. So this is what we have learned so far. Select statement, from statement, where statement, group by, having an order by. It says winner is invalid in order clause because it is either contained in order by, it is either contained in aggregate function or group by clause. So we have used select count of winner here. It says it cannot allow noble win dot winner in the order by class. Okay, since I'm using it in aggregated data, I can okay, if I wanted to aggregate the count of winners, what I have to use is, as usual, I have to use it as an aggregation. So what I'll write is count of winner comma country. Now it will not throw any error, generate output. So here we have countries where the winners are more than 2, more than or equal to 2. In Germany they have 2 winners. In Israel they have 2 Nobel Prize winners. In Japan and USA as well as they have 2 Nobel Prize winners. So this is exactly how we can put all the statements to achieve an output of our desired question. Now that is how it works in order by statement. Let's go on to the next one. Distinct statement. Distinct statement is simply nothing but a statement which helps us to retain only unique value from the data. It will not allow you to have duplicates in it. At the end of the day, if you have several values, it will not allow you to have several values. It will return only unique values from the record. Now to give an example, so in the year 1970, there are several instances of 1970. 1971 also, there are several instances. In all the other years also, there are multiple duplicates in years. What if I wanted to have only, I wanted to know what are the distinct years that are present in this data set. So what I'll do is, I'll say select distinct year from Nobel win. That is all I have to do. See here, it gives me only the unique values. So 1970, 1971, 1978, 1987, and 1994. So these are the 5 different years that is present in the Nobel win. If I wanted to know what are the distinct categories and distinct countries that are there, I can simply choose select distinct category from Nobel win. There are only 6 categories: chancellor, economist, linguist, president, prime minister, and a scientist. Same happens for um, country also. Let me check the country. Select distinct country from Nobel win. There are 10 different countries starting from Chile to USA. So this is how you can put distinct into use. This is the simplest way of putting distinct into use. Let me write distinct into multiple columns. I wanted to know distinct years and their country. Yeah, only this from Nobel win. Let's see the data and then I'll apply filters. In 1970, France won an award, Germany won an award, Russia won an award, Sweden won an award, and Chile won an award. So 19 records out of 24 records, 19 records are unique in terms of country and year. Now I wanted to filter year that are greater than 1975. That is the filter that I'm going to apply. You see here in 1978, Egypt got an award, Israel got an award, and the other data points reflect the year and country which won the award. Then what I can do here is group the data by country. It throws an error. It says noble.win.year is invalid in select because it is contained in either in aggregate or group by clause. So since I'm using here in this case, I have to use year also. Or maybe I'll first group the data by, okay, let me show you this output and then I'll show you the other way around. So here in 1978, there are no distinct values here because unique duplicate values here, because that is what we did. We did remove all the duplicates at a particular selection like year and country. The key understanding is that none of these changes reflect in your table. Your table will remain as it is. These are only data retrieval process, just a temporary output that we can generate from the table to see whether we are using the right logic to perform some data analysis or retrieval. Now I cannot use year in this case. I cannot use country also. So what I'll do is I'll simply remove group by. I'll simply say having, since we have not done any aggregation, I'll do an aggregation here. Count of year, if the count of year is greater than 2, then only those countries I wanted to generate an output of. It says year is selected because it is already used year. Okay, distinct count is what I have to use. So I'll say distinct. Okay, sorry, this is already distinct. There will be no two values here. There is no point of using having statement also. What I can directly do is order by country. That is something that we can do in ascending order. So I'm just not going to use anything, leave it as it is. So the data is sorted in ascending order under each year. This is how we can use distinct at multiple levels also. Apart from order by, yeah, we have one more statement that we can see right away. Limit statement. A limit clause is basically nothing but a statement which is used to restrict the number of outputs that we wanted to fetch from the data. Now here in SQL Server, we will, in this particular tool, we will use limit as top function. So top as an alternative to limit. Okay, so what happens with the limit function is that it basically restricts how many number of records that has to be shown as an output. Let me take Noble Win one more time. If you see here, there are 24 line items, 24 rows data is there in this particular data set. Assume I wanted to retrieve only the first 10 records. So what I can directly tell is select top 10 from Noble Win. So what it will simply do is, rather than giving us all 24, it will retrieve us only the first 10 row items from the data. So the top function is basically the limit function in MySQL. It lets you to subset the data basis the number of choices you wanted to have. If I wanted to have only 5 records from the top function, I can use just specify the number, and then by default it gives me the value accordingly. So it is a subset function which lets you to control the data basis your requirement. That is what a top function does. Let me quickly recap all the functions that we have learned so far. Where and group by statements, having an order by statement, limit and distinct statement. What I'll do is I'll put all the statements into use. In this particular case, I wanted to have only select top 10 distinct, let's keep distinct year and country from the table Noble Win, where let's see this data first and then I'll aggregate it. Select top 10, select distinct year, country. So we have this data. So what I'll do here is we cannot aggregate because everything is already at a individual level. There is no aggregation present here. Yeah, I can give two examples differently then. So this is for distinct. Again, the same thing is I'll give one example for top 10 everything from Noble Win. Then I can give an example for all the other statements that we have learned. So what I'll do is select count of year in the, and I wanted to group it at country and category level from the table Noble Win, where the year should be greater than 1975. I wanted to group the data by country and the category. I wanted to have years that are greater than 2, greater than equals to 2. Then we will order the data by category. Let's do it at a category level. We can do a sorting operation on multiple dimensions as well. So I'm going to use both just to explain you how does it work. So if you see here, there is only one country which actually has won more than 2 awards in the year 2020. Has won the award twice in any time period greater than 1975, and the category is for Prime Minister. They have won this award. Now let's validate this data. So what I'll do is select everything from Noble Win, where country is equal to Israel, and year should be greater than 1975. Let me execute this. If you see here, there are 2 awards that they have won greater than in the year of 1975 in this particular data set, and both the cases they have won the award for Prime Minister. That is exactly what we are achieving in terms of writing all the queries together. So all this select statement, from statement, group statement, where statement are very essential to perform even the slimiest operation in any given database. Now to quickly recap what is a where statement. A where statement is a conditional statement which basically filters the data basis one or several conditions. Whereas a group by statement simply aggregates the data at a particular level. If I wanted to group the data at a country level, I can get it done. If I wanted to group the data at a country category level, that also can be possible. It basically groups the data by similarities. Then having statement is an additional conditional class which basically helps us filter the data basis aggregation. The only drawback in where statement is that we cannot filter anything basis aggregation, whereas in having statement we can filter the data based on aggregated information. An order by statement is as straightforward as it can be. It simply groups prints the output in either ascending or descending order. By default it performs ascending order. If we have to sort the data in descending order, we will use DESC key to achieve the same. Limit function basically controls how many rows that has to be populated in the outcome. And distinct statement simply removes all the duplicates and retains only the unique values in it. This is what limit and distinct statement does. That brings us to the end of this particular class. I would like to thank everyone for joining today, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to today's class as well as the YouTube channel. Thank you guys. Thank you so much once again for joining today.